Welcome back to the show. Today we've got Justin Fortier, the Fractal Group, and you're going to love the bravery and the honesty by which we talk. When Justin and I get together, we get to talk about what it really means to be an entrepreneur and not the little sissy stuff. We're going to talk about him being a dirty little entrepreneur. Justin, let's talk a little bit about it. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me. Yeah, let's dig in.
Well, come on. I mean, nowadays, sometimes don't you feel like you're the villain? You're a dirty entrepreneur. How could you make people work? And oh my God, don't you feel like that some days?
I mean, you feel like perhaps you've made some sort of psycho decision and some sort of masterful power, I'm an authoritarian, going to take over the world approach, but it's not. We didn't come from that, right? We didn't come from there. We came from a place that we wanted to help others and build things. No. We got to ignore that part.
No, I literally wake up every day and I'm grateful for the people that work for us. And I have their care in my charge, right? The thought of letting go of, we've had to get this in 2024. It's been a tough financial year. Over $50 million in revenue, and we're breaking even and having to make cuts of human beings. You ask anybody who works for me, that is the most miserable thing I ever go through, is letting go of anybody at our company, because it's just not my nature. My nature is really to want to support and take care of people and be of service to the people that work for us. And I think, most entrepreneurs feel the same way.
And most of us end up sacrificing a lot for that. We sacrifice our families, we sacrifice our time, we sacrifice our money, our comfort, I don't get to go on vacation every other week, like some of these folks who have cush corporate jobs, and I don't get to complain about things. And again, not to say that there aren't some wonderful benefits of being an entrepreneur. My ego feels good most days, and my confidence is good, and I have a little bit of freedom. But at the end of the day, I feel I'm here to serve my team and my employees and my clients and my customers, and that feels right, because now I know I'm tangibly touching the success of my companies. I'm not just some cog in a wheel. And that's my own ego problem. But to your point, there are a lot of emotional sacrifices and a lot of weight that the leader carries, and sometimes that just gets thrown out the door because we get lumped into this dirty entrepreneurial.
Oh, come on. I can almost imagine a day when they will look at entrepreneurs like slave owners, right? That somewhere they're going to look at us like, how could you make people work? You made them get up and work 8 hours a day. What kind of savages were you? Today we don't, in the future where, robots will do all this stuff for us, but today I don't look at that. I'm like, look, I get up every day trying to make sure that we survive as an organization.
Oh, and then you provide opportunity for your team. I mean, these people are, my favorite day is when my employees get to buy a house or they get married. That's like, yes, I created that opportunity for them. We did, the whole team that we built together. And that is so overlooked. Instead, it's just, and I'm saying by who are we talking about? I mean, it's mostly government. It's mostly the repressive agendas that come in and try to push down business. I don't care what side of the aisle you are. There's repressive agendas, and it's usually some sort of vote scheme to get someone to vote for you. It says, oh, we're gonna fight back against these dirty entrepreneurs who've been taking advantage of you. And it's like, man, do you know what these people have been through to keep you employed? Do you know the sacrifice and the risk that they took to get you there? Yeah, that's the thing that gets under our skin and makes it hard. And I mean, I laugh with friends, but I don't think there's going to be a generation of entrepreneurs coming up next. It's just not worth it.
It's tough. Look, regulations have made it even harder, right? As that noose of regulation continues to get a little bit tighter, no matter where you are in the country, you're seeing that, we keep growing more rules, and they're not, I don't know how much they're really benefiting us. I think that a lot of the rules that we create end up having us feel, maybe one off at a time makes sense. Hey, I want to make sure, there's something that's safe, or our supplies are great. But now all of a sudden I've now created these hurdles to jump over that taxes the entire system. Right, it taxes everybody, and I don't think people realize the cost of that. In the construction world, I'll play with that one for a second because that's probably closest to my heart. Is the way that we go out and look at projects, right? The regulations and handicap requirements and all of the look, and of course, as a society, no one wants to leave a handicapped person behind. But I look at some of these projects that we do and go, holy bejesus, some of the money that we're spending to create some of this some of this stuff. I like, there's one in me who says, look, we want to make sure we take care of everybody. But there's also one in me who goes, at what point are we handicapping a building? And I feel dirty even saying, like, I can't imagine, wait, you don't want to take care of a handicapped person? Because that's the guilt they'll put on you, right?
There's the pressure. And then it's the ridiculous penalties and repression and shakedowns that you get when you did the best you could. You had every best intention at heart. You did everything you could, but hey, you missed a few inches on the slope. So here you go. Here's your fine.
We've had quarter inch off, having to rip a room open, take tile off of the entire room because I don't know, maybe the grout or thin set got set too high. Someone just didn't notice the tile setter. Now all of a sudden you're ripping all the tile off, and you're like, okay.
The assumption is that this stuff is easy.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. Oh, well, it was your choice. You chose not to do that. No, this was a difficult project. We took a lot of minds, and stuff might not be perfect. And oh, how dare you not be perfect, you dirty little entrepreneur, you. You were trying to cut corners. It was not cutting corners. It was doing the best that we could with the budget that we had that was supplying people jobs. And we missed a couple inches or a quarter inch here. Come on. That's just a shakedown. That's just a shakedown. That's just people.
Well, that's what's happening. Like, especially with we go back to the handicap thing. There are these people that are literally driving around looking for the opportunity to sue an organization, and they'll write these things up. It's just painful for those organizations. They're and the bigger the brand is, the more attacks they're getting. It's a bummer. They're trying to do the right thing, but someone will walk in and go, they'll have a scale out there going, oh look, that's a half of a percent grade off. And you're going, all right, nobody.
Or they'll throw the book at you. 99% of it will be frivolous. They might catch you on one infraction, but they didn't actually ever even step foot. I used to work for a bar group down in San Diego. We got hit with one of these drive-by lawsuits. That person who had never stepped foot in the bar, never even been there, but just threw a drive-by lawsuit, and they knew that we would settle just to get out of our hair. I work cybersecurity, so my companies are in tech. We work cybersecurity. I mean, these are brute force attacks. These are throwing everything you can at the front door. You know what we need? We need a firewall. We need to set up firewalls for frivolous attacks against these small businesses. It's coming from the regulators. It's coming from the IRS. It's coming at you. It's just frivolous, nonsensical bureaucracy. It just slows down progress and innovation and pushes everything toward a centralized system of a few corporations that can handle this and keep things going and automate more because it's more risk to have employees. It's more risk to do a contractor. So I'm just going to push more money into automation. We're just going to create this unemployment gap, and we're going to have a wider and wider economic gap where all of the rhetoric is pointed toward the opposite. All the rhetoric is we're doing this for the worker. We're doing this for the employee. No, you're going to create a huge separation in the employee's value. The employee is moving more and more toward a liability, and being an entrepreneur is moving more and more toward a liability than it is an opportunity and an asset.
Well, here, let's get one out. I'm going to prick everybody right now. The woke culture. Let's talk about that, because right now that's a really hot topic out there, and even saying that we're going to talk about it makes you repressive. Right here, even the thought that I would put that on a podcast and say, let's talk about how, look, we're all learning for sure. We as a society had to learn to get better. And for sure we have. But today, this culture has gotten so out of hand that the lawsuits and the attacks from people, no matter how well you're doing, it's never good enough. Right? I feel kind of like the problem with being Catholic. I was never going to make it. I was never going to, no matter how good I tried, there was always some sin I didn't know I was doing until someone showed it. Right? Yeah. Right.
So here, I have no problem with woke culture. I have no problem with the values and the, hey, you be you. I can adjust my pronouns. It's not that hard. I know how to use they, them, he, she, whatever you want me to say is not personally difficult for me. Yeah, I might make some mistakes. Again, might miss that quarter inch every once in a while. Just give everybody a little bit of grace, right? The problem is when it's weaponized. That is the real problem. These value systems that we have are not wrong. Inherently, there's nothing wrong with equality, justice, diversity. Those are all not inherently negative things. They're not always positive. There's certain cases where you might want some homogeny to make something work, or there might be, certain people who are males or tend to be heavier, able to do more physical jobs. It makes sense, right? There's some common sense in there. The problem is when these programs like ADA are weaponized against businesses in order to do shakedowns. That's what's killing us. It's when you're weaponizing these value systems and weaponizing the voters to take down those who are doing their best. They really are. These entrepreneurs, almost every entrepreneur I know is doing their damnedest and working their hardest to provide for their team, for their shareholders, for their customers. They are really just getting abused by these folks who weaponize it. So again, woke culture, no problem. I have no problem with the mindset of the individuals there. I don't have any problem with it. More of a libertarian mindset in that case to say you do you. I don't love the weaponization of these. It's so counterproductive, right? It just took all the actual progress that was being made in those cultures and just shut them right back down. And the pendulum swung so hard the other way, it had a total boomerang and counter effect. When I was in grad school, I wrote a paper on the ineffectiveness and boomerang effect of PSAs and marijuana, right? Remember those commercials where you had all this here's your brain on drugs. You had I got high in the drive-through and like people are laughing. There's this boomerang effect that these naive individuals who either they are consciously doing this in order to create more controversy, or I think there's this naiveness that happens with them where they either get to fire up their ass and there's some sort of entitlement happening, or they truly just think they know better and they push these things without the awareness of, hey, there could be some side effects. There's other human beings on the other side that are going to be affected by this rhetoric. Do I just ignore those people's feelings? Do I just ignore that they might have a backlash against this and it'll be totally counterproductive to my entire movement? Nah, I'll just still be a self-righteous asshole, right? And just keep pushing these agendas.
Well, the drug war on drugs became, it's amazing how a guy in a lab coat can feed you full of drugs. They're trying on you, right? I was just talking to a friend of mine who's taken 14 different medications. They're trying on them, right? None of which has been tested together, right? Those are okay to practice on you, but the guy that wants to smoke some weed or check out or try some ayahuasca or whatever it is, now all of a sudden they're not causing harm to anybody but themselves. Now, look, I get how drug addiction and all just like the conversation of the woke. Look, I really do believe that we as a society need to take that step. But that weaponization stuff you're talking about became to the point where all of a sudden we got paranoid. Now you start making everybody around you jumpy and paranoid and starting to look at you like with evil intent. And that's caused more separation between humans than what I think ultimately what we want to do is make sure that, all right, people are in the drug world. We're trying to keep you from becoming a drug addict or checking out. And instead of going, hey, let's not hide those people in the back corners of life. Let's bring some light to it and go, hey, look, this is kind of what could happen. The millions and millions of dollars we spent on locking people up isn't working. I don't know that people are not doing drugs. That if they want to do drugs, they'll do drugs.
It's the same thing we talk about being called a dirty entrepreneur, right? It's that counterproductive overreaction to individuals who are just living. What was beautiful for a moment during COVID? We all gave each other a little grace. We all took a step back and said, we're all dealing with something and you're going to deal with it slightly different. I'm going to deal with it slightly different. We all said for a while, if you want to wear a mask, no problem. You do you, it's okay. It's safe. This is scary for all of us. Let's all just take a break. And if I decide not to, I'm okay. I mean, there might have been a little bit of judgment, like people who weren't wearing masks at the time, but whatever it was, it felt like there was some grace for a little bit. And it was kind of beautiful for a moment where we as a society all just said, whoa, this is difficult. Why can't we say the same thing about life? Why can't we say the same thing about entrepreneurialism? Why can't we say the same thing about politics and justice and say, hey, let's all just take a moment and have a conversation like we are that says there are two sides of this conversation. I can't, just because I step on a needle or step on a nerve, you can't shut down. You got to continue the conversation and continue to see two sides and try to have, I think entrepreneurs are specifically good at this because they have to become aware of two sides of the coin. They have to know the cause and effect, the ROI, the outcomes, because they're beholden to those to keep their company alive, to grow. And they aren't stuck in academia or politics where their heads are down. They know only these push button issues. We are actually really thoughtful problem solvers who are very, very, very responsible with our actions. Most of us, right? Again,
well, I mean,
that's why
or
you and I
at least we're
qualify.
trying to be.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least trying to be. Look, I for sure feel like every day I'm walking that line of learning and messing up and learning and messing up and learning and messing up. It's kind of the entrepreneurial spirit, right? It's something that I got to walk over and feel stupid. I'm going to, challenge conversations about all the above, or all those things we just talked about, the ADA or woke or drug. I'm going to walk over and try to learn it and understand it, but yeah, I'm going to mess it up on the way there. By the way, that's how it happened. It was an idea and we went to grow the idea. And in between the two of those is a lot of glass chewing and jumping of an abyss and fire walking and messing up. There's a lot of stuff that happens in between, growing ideas that aren't fully vetted out yet. And that's where we are as entrepreneurs. And I think that's where we are as a society when we can say, have that grace and go, yeah, it's okay for you to mess that up. Now, how do we not get shut down? How do we walk in and go, all right, that guy said something stupid. He doesn't know that it's stupid. I had a friend of mine just the other day. He's an African-American man. And he goes, a guy walked up, he's on a lighter skin side. He said, a guy walked up to me the other day and said, I always talk to you kind of like one of those white guys. And he didn't realize what an insult that was. Right. He was trying to say, hey, this guy seems kind of cool and I can have conversations. I can challenge myself through you, but didn't realize like that seemed like that really was an insult. Right. There was an underlying insult in that he didn't realize it. Now, it could have been really easily said, he could have chopped the guy down and completely dismissed him. He realized that the guy just wasn't aware of where he was at. Now there's an opportunity for him to go, all right, now how could I talk to him? How could I talk to this man in a way that might be different instead of going and dismissing him and chopping him down and making him feel bad and using his,
Had it been a touchy nerve, he shuts it down, and now you have no conversation, you have no dialogue, you have no progress. And that's where that's actually if you want to know the nerve, it's when you stop having dialogue, when you start having progress, stop having progress. That's my touchy nerve. When you shut down other ideas entirely and don't at least give them a chance to hear them out and understand where that person's coming from. And as an entrepreneur, you have to. If you're going to do that to your customers, you're not going to have any customers.
Sure, your customers will piss you off every day, and to find the ability to go, well, I'm not seeing it from their point of view, or not seeing it as something that they're just not realizing they need, or if I'm victim to my customers every day, I won't be in business very long, right? There's no agency there.
I always talked about to my team is like, look, when you see these things occur, you have to detach a little bit emotionally from them, and it becomes an interesting challenge to win that customer over, to provide that success for that customer. And that takes you away from this whole ethical, moral dilemma or whatever it is, the emotional dilemma that you're having with this customer. Instead, you're just trying to solve a problem and create progress. Imagine if we all had kind of that approach. And that's where the entrepreneurial spirit is huge. And that's where, if we could think that way and if we could celebrate that a little bit more, I think we would have more progress. We'd have more common sense, and we'd have less touchy nerve issues, right?
But somewhere, I think we forget, everywhere I've traveled, every man I've ever met wants, every entrepreneur I ever met, we're all pretty similar, right? We want better things for our family, right? We're trying to grow as human beings, right? We're trying to learn to be smarter and better people. And very rarely have I met someone truly malevolent, right? I don't know that in all the travels around the world I've done, and I've been around the world a few times now, and I can't say I've met a truly malevolent human. Now, I've met some scared people. I've met some people who do some dumb things, but more out of fear, or security. Rarely is it out of pure evilness, that evil way of being. And I think that's, if we could remember that. Now, for some reason, politics is definitely gotten to be a hotter topic. People don't care about who or what the candidates are saying. It's become about their political party, and it doesn't matter who's going to win, or it doesn't matter what the candidate's saying. It's now become partyized. It's like, my team's got to win, no matter if I believe in it or not, and I will skew my beliefs to believe whatever they believe. And I don't know that anybody, there's not that separation between, all right, this is my party that I started with, but I don't necessarily have to believe everything they said. By the way, that's what happened with me with the religion. I was able to look at my religion and go, all right, I grew up this way, and they have some beliefs that maybe I don't need to hold on to that way. I don't need to believe it that way. By the way, I see a higher power as a completely different being. It doesn't seem like he's that mad and evil and trying to, it doesn't necessarily need me to do those practices. So, the question is that, what's causing that attachment to party instead of principles?
Have these guys just gotten that good at marketing and messaging? Like, is it just they've mastered the ability to manipulate, or is it that maybe some of us have just laid dormant too quiet too long, where we're all just saying, yeah, that's just what it is for most people, and I'm just checking out. That's exactly what I've done. I've just checked out. I don't try to follow politics anymore. I only follow it for figuring out whether or not it's going to affect my investments or crypto. Like, it's a completely autonomous thing that just occurs that I'm just going to have to deal with, right? It's just, okay, whatever. Okay, so there's some new policy going to be coming along the line. Great. Let's see what I got to deal with now. And I really have detached a lot from the emotional side of it, other than just saying, look, this just sucks. And I just know it's not where it needs to be. So me having an opinion on it, kind of like, where you're saying detaching from that belief system maybe you grew up with, it's like, I don't have to believe all this. I don't have to buy into either side. I just need to kind of get through my life and get through the challenges that I'm dealing with. And I just need to keep an eye on it because it might have an impact on tomorrow's, NVIDIA prices. So those are the way that's how I've seemed to approach it. But it seems like these folks have just gotten that good at manipulating us, or the tools and the technology have gotten that good at manipulating us, that we are now almost robotic, non-thinkers. So it's bringing back critical thinking, which is dangerous, right? That's to the status quo. Critical thinking is dangerous to the status quo. I don't think there's this, boardroom of, again, back to the dirty entrepreneur. I also don't think there's this dirty boardroom of politicians who are controlling and manipulating the world, but there's this almost natural selection that is creating this group of people who are pushing in certain agendas and approaches that survive where others will die off, like almost an evolution of ideas that's created this machine that just continues to fuel us into this damn cycle of listening to the same sources, getting into bubbles, and getting stuck with these same ideologies, and not really seeing that critical thinking is a way to jump out. And it actually is repressing. I don't think consciously. I think it's subconsciously repressing critical thinking, and it's just continuing to feed us back into these loops of. If you're familiar with Robert Cialdini's book on 7 Weapons of Influence, you have this click word concept that we are actually we're more instinctive than we really think we are, that we're easily manipulated by these different little natural thoughts in our mind that can just get us into this path. And we've just naturally fallen into that. And it's hard because there's critical thinkers like you and I who are sitting here having conversations like this who can see both sides, but then we say, well, what can I do? What can I do other than complain about it on a podcast?
Well, not so much complain. I think it takes some thoughts from all of us to stand out there and to boldly challenge. Ultimately, what I want from the people in my life I want to be able to talk like I have freedom to have some to play in the language, right? I want to be able to do that and then still have you like me at the back end of it, right? I want you to know that look, I'm not trying to be evil or wrong. Sometimes that comes off, and it's kind of a bummer where we don't have this safe playground where we can try on conversations and mess them up completely. Like, look, I would love to challenge you in a conversation that I'm probably going to mess something up, or maybe even a poke at something in you, and still, I still want you to love me. Right? Can we create that safe space together as a group, a family, a community that has that playground, or there's no room for even playing with an idea?
You're totally right. You're we're all kind of feel like we're stuck in this. If I don't say something right the first time, every time, I'm going to get in trouble and I'm afraid. So now I say nothing. Instead,
that's right.
What an amazing space it would be to go in and just say whatever's going through your mind and be honest with your thoughts, and you'll be forgiven along the way. And maybe we'll come to a new discovery that maybe some of these touch points that we all thought were actually righteous and valuable actually have a negative undercurrent. And we've been repressing that. And we're actually going to be looked back on society, like you said, as these closed-minded individuals who never thought of it in this other way, who are so just bullheaded in our approach because we couldn't have a thoughtful conversation. And I thought that was college, right? That's what we all thought. We were supposed to go to college and learn that. I actually did have some amazing opportunities to learn and think and have conversations at UC Santa Barbara, is where I went to college. It was actually an amazing place to go have these kind of conversations. I remember sitting down with I was there for undergrad in law and society, and I sat down with the professor and I said, look, man, I'm probably going to go into tech. What the hell do I care about Middle Eastern law? I happened to be studying Middle Eastern law at the time. And he sits me down. He said, one of the coolest things anyone's ever said. He said, it'll make you a better person.
That's right.
Like, damn, there you go. He said, go ahead and just think about it. Learn, get to know this other part of the world, and it'll just make you a better thinker. It'll give you more confidence, and you'll be able to do more with your life. Just being able to be in the room with the difficult subjects. I mean, at the time, it was just post 9/11, right? So Middle Eastern law and the Arab world and the Western world were not real friendly with each other. So it was a really interesting time to be in that room. And to be able to have someone just say, it'll just make you a better person, to have these conversations, and you can be totally wrong and your thoughts can be wonky. I don't know where that space went.
It's tough. Right. I think that's the one that I think most of us feel like, all right, give me that opportunity to play around. Let me say that let me try on a conversation like an outfit. Let's wear it like a loose garment. I don't need it to be on forever. I'm not going to wear the same. I don't wear the same shirt every single day. Right. But there's plenty of times where I will go to my closet and put a shirt on and I walk over to the mirror and go, yeah, that doesn't work. Let's go try another one on. And the idea should be the same way, right? I'm not attached to, just because it came out of my mouth doesn't mean that that's who I am. It's a trial. Now there's where, he said what? Oh, did you record that? He said what? He said, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I was just trying on a conversation. I messed it up. I don't.
Well, that's what we do as entrepreneurs. We try out an idea. We try something new because perhaps there's a discovery to be made, an innovation and ingenuity that changes the way that we do business, that allows me to provide more for my team, for my family. If I stayed status quo in my business, it'd go pretty damn poorly, right? So why can't we have more entrepreneurial type conversations where we're able to explore, create innovative ways of, maybe we come up with new naming conventions that help us truly define something that's a little bit more inclusive. Maybe we would come up with that. But right now, it's ordained upon us that these are the terms you're allowed to use, and these are the folks that you're allowed to use them with.
I love that. It's been ordained upon us. These you're no longer allowed to have any other freedom of speech or play in speech. You're destined or ordained to use this vocabulary this way. And I think for that, there is lots and lots of pain that many of us are going through. Justin, I love that the freedom to the speech, the challenge to the conversation, the game that you play as an entrepreneur. I think it's a fun space to be in. I don't know. There's a lot of people I've had on the podcast that are willing to be bold enough to go down the path to really try on that gift. And for me, it's an honor to have that and to play together with you.
Thanks for giving the space, man. I've been on a lot of these podcasts, and it ends up being this kind of same story. Oh, my journey's blah blah blah. It's great. I've told that story 1,000 times, and it's a wonderful story. Someday I'll tell it to you. But right now, I want to talk about things that are real and relevant. And I am just kind of ready for that. I'm kind of ready to see what's up, what other people are thinking out there, and see if there's more people who are having the same dilemma. And I bet you there's a lot of us out there who are feeling like they want to have this conversation, and they're just too scared. And hopefully, if people are hearing us have this conversation, maybe they'll have one around the dining room tomorrow, and they'll say, "Hey, can I have a safe space to explore some thoughts and ideas and feelings that I've been having, and not be judged, and just let me work through this." That'd be weird to say explicitly. I'd be like, "Whoa, you need to back off." But the insinuation should be there for this person to have that space, and maybe we can be examples of that as leaders in our companies, and let our employees have these same conversations, so they're not terrified of losing their job over. Hey, I don't necessarily, we can go to any topic on this. Hey, I like Google Cloud. No, I like AWS. Well, let's have a debate. Let's have a real conversation.
Let's play. Let's have a safe place where we as human beings can have this. Look, ultimately, all of us believe, I think deep down inside, all of us want to be better human beings. And given the chance to be a better human being and try on different conversations or ideas to get us there, I think all of us will be there. And being an entrepreneur isn't a dirty job. It's a really creative job. And it's a blessing to stand out there and take something that doesn't even exist and bring it into existence and find a group of people to help you to do that together. And I think that's the real joy and the gift of being an entrepreneurial leader, is that you get to really create a vision where one didn't exist, and take people to create an idea that wasn't there before you started. Really be able to see through the, through the darkness. And, look, I think we're all entrepreneurs are trying to find better language to be able to create those things faster, right? Every entrepreneur I know, once they get through the initial run of creating, now they want to figure out, all right, how can I do this better, smarter, faster, right? Use better language, better communication, better conversations. And of course, it's in bringing all of us, up together. So I honor you, brother.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, great time getting together. I want to make sure people get a hold of you. If they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to find you, Justin?
Check me out on LinkedIn, Justin Fortier. I think there's only a couple of us out there. I'm the one with the beard. There's also Justin at FYC Labs. If you want to send Justin at FYCLabs.com, that's our design agency. You can email me there. Find me on LinkedIn. That's where I love to have most conversations. You'll see a little bit more topics like these: AI, tech, culture, scaling businesses, like you just talked about. I love to stay active on there.
I appreciate it. I love it. I'll have all that stuff down below, and so grateful for having you on the show.
Anthony, thanks for having me.
Audience, it's awesome that you guys made it to the end of the show. Again, last week we had over 36,000 downloads on YouTube alone, subscribers breaking through, and it's been amazing the work that you guys are doing and being part of this journey with us. If you guys could take a second, like and subscribe, it makes a world of difference to our whole team in the background, Joe and Alyssa and the team that put this together every single day to find me great guests like Justin and bringing these great conversations to the surface. If you could like and subscribe and do that now, I would be grateful. I know they would be as well. And as always, thanks for listening.